evening, Guyana. Good evening, Berbice. We're coming live to you in Berbice. This is Alliance on the Move, and I'm so excited. As you could see, we have some powerful women on our program today. Yes, this Saturday night, we're coming into your homes. We're glad that you have us on your TV or on your computer and you're watching. And really, what we're doing tonight is that you know that on Friday we had a special celebration. It was International Women's Day. And we're taking this celebration from Friday right through to Saturday, right through to tomorrow. So I'm Kathy Hughes, happy to be with you. And I want to introduce our panel that we have today. Up in the corner to my left is Mandy Sukdio, who is a dental assistant. And then we also have just below Mandy, we have Camille Cox coming from Region 6. Camille is an RDC counselor. And I should have said that Mandy hails from Region 3. And then to just below me is Nicola Trotman. Nicola is based in Region 4, and Nicola is actually a commissioner on the Local Government Commission. So that's why I said I'm excited because we got a range of skills. We got a range of women here. Ladies, good night. Can I ask you to say a
Good
few
night
words
to you.
of welcome?
Good
Good
night,
night,
everyone.
everyone.
Okay, so I wanted to start off by the advantage we have this evening is that each of you come from a different region. And since we're talking about women, we're going to be talking about women empowerment. We're going to be talking about where Guyanese women have come from and where they're going. You know, I want to say that we have made tremendous strides since independence. We are so fortunate and we're thankful for all the great women that came before us and on whose shoulders we stand today. So I wanted but to start off by asking each of you to give us a little synopsis of where women are in your community, the great things that they're doing, and also we want to look at some of the challenges. By the end of the program, we're going to talk about some of the solutions we can offer. So let me start with Mandy from Region 3. How are the Guyanese women in Region 3 doing?
So, once again, good night to everybody that is viewing our program tonight. If I may just add, Kathy, yesterday was also a very special day for our Hindu brothers and sisters. They
Yes.
would have celebrated Mahashivratri yesterday. So, we would like to extend to each and every one of you a special, special Mahashivratri greetings. And may the blessing of Lord Shiva be upon each and every one of us. I would also like to extend, just like my colleague Miss Hughes, a very, very, very happy International Women's Day to all our beautiful ladies throughout Guyana and the rest of the world. So, Kathy, coming back to your question now about the women in Region 3. So, there are some things that has been happening in Region 3. We have well, as we know, Region 3 is an area where it's highly populated. Here we have a lot of rice farming going on. We have cash crops going on. But one of the new things I saw happening recently is that a lot of the women now, because of the high cost of living, they have to look at alternatives to provide for themselves and their family. So they're actually coming out. A few of them are coming out to go into the new working world, as we would term it, because a few years ago, a woman in construction was something very strange. We never used to see that before. An engineer graduating in civil engineering as a female, it's kind of like a strange to the Guyanese culture. So in Region 3, I've seen that the women are actually stepping forward and saying, here, we are here and we want to work, we want to earn, we want to provide for our families, and we're asking for an equal playing field so that the same boundaries and the same yardsticks that are used to apply the benefits to the males, we are asking that we have the same system being applied to us so that we can have the same equal opportunity as everyone else. So, us being women, the first thing that comes to our mind in Region 3 is our family.
Mhm.
We have to provide for our family. And as we know, for the past couple of months, there have been a lot of issues in Region 3 where they have women have been murdered by
Yeah.
the reputed husbands. So these are some of the issues that we're facing over here. But I think in a long term shot is that we need to look and see what is really happening on the ground. We need to diagnose the situation properly so that we can have a real in the information that is coming to us, it should be accurate so that we know, well, this is the situation. Why is this happening? How is it happening? And how we can able to remedy the situation. So in Region 3, they are room for improvements because there are some areas in which the funding for the women empowerment programs are lacking. And then there are some areas in which they're complaining that they're handpicking people to put on the program. So these are some of the issues that we're facing in Region 3.
Mhm. Thank you very much, Mandy. That's really interesting and good for us to know what's happening in Region 3. So now, can I ask Camille? Camille hails from Region 6. So, Camille, what are some of the key developments happening in Region 6 with regards to women? And Camille, I know you had some special activities for International Women's Day, so please share those with us too.
Good night. Good night. Good night to our viewers. Good night to you, Kaki, um, Miss Trotman. I wouldn't stop calling you that. And Mandy, good night to you too. Um, for the women in my area or in New Amsterdam, most of them are working. They're either nurse, teacher, or security officers. That is basically what is available. We have a lot of them in the supermarkets too, because in Region 6 in New Amsterdam, particular, we have a lot of these Chinese supermarkets. So yes, they're being employed in those. We don't have much, at least in my area, much stay-at-home women, which is a good thing. Some of them are also working the part-time, are also the part-time workers, which for me is very risky. Because if anything happened to you, you have nothing to gain there. But
Yeah.
as life will have it, they have to find something to do, so they go and do it in the meantime until we get back in power. Um, as for abuse, in our area, there's not much of that. So I cannot elaborate much on abuse because it very rare happens in this area.
Mhm. Okay. Okay. Camille, tell me
And you,
I know your
mhm, go
RDC
ahead.
had some special programs in terms of training for International Women's Day. You want to tell us a bit about that whole program because I think it's something that maybe all RDCs can start doing. So tell us how that benefits women and what the program was.
Um, I don't know of a training. Um, I wasn't informed of that, but I know the Gender Fair Committee planned a lunch yesterday,
Mhm.
and where they invite different persons to speak and invite all the women in or most of the women in the RDC and the that is the Regional Democratic Council and the Gender Fair Committee women. So we had a good time there. We had a good time there, and then I was surprised to be honored by the Ghana Teachers Union for supporting them with their strike. They invite me to give a little talk there, and they presented me with a gift. So I felt very honored for that, you know. But all in all, it was a good day. It was a good celebration. Um, we had a good lunch and a good chit chat.
Good. I think Camille froze just at the time she was finishing. So let me go straight to Nicola. Nicola, tell us a bit about your region, Region Four, and what are how are women doing? What are some of the challenges?
Good night, Berbice, and thank you for having me on your program. Kathy, you and I both are from Region 4,
Yes,
so
yes.
there is good and there is bad.
Mm-hmm,
Um, the good thing is that uh, I see a lot more women being employed in positions or filling vacancies that were traditionally men. So I see a lot more female engineers.
mm-hmm,
And I noticed when the University of Guyana graduated their first batch of graduates in the, what was it, petroleum sector,
yeah. Mm-hmm,
they had more women than men in that batch. So I was very proud of that.
mm-hmm,
And it's very heartening to see our women stepping forward, not being shy, not being timid, and I think almost demanding their place in the sector. So that's heartening, and I hope it continues. I think we have more work to do with our lower high schools
mm-hmm,
in opening up to them, to the young ladies in high school, the opportunities that await them in the engineering sector, in the petroleum sector, in the agriculture. You know, there are a lot of sectors. Um, Kathy, this is deviating a bit, but it's. I've just had children leave high school, not just a couple of years ago, but in
mm-hmm,
my time in high school with them, I noticed, almost every child in fifth form, or at least more than 75% of them, would do agricultural science as a subject,
mm-hmm,
but it just stopped there. Guyana was always known for its agriculture, and I think it's an industry that needs to be promoted and pushed.
mm-hmm,
Government needs to come up with incentives for these children to be able to go into that field. I remember I think it was in I didn't 19 no, sorry, 2017 or 2018, I went to a farmer's market at the Square of the Revolution. And we had a young Guyanese woman. She had just graduated from the Guyana School of Agriculture. And
mm-hmm.
she had produced, boxed sweet potato muffins. And they
Wow.
tasted absolutely delicious.
Yeah.
I am yet to see it on the market in Guyana for sale in the supermarkets. I've never seen it for sale in the supermarkets. When I had spoken to her at that time, she said she was waiting for land to produce more sweet potatoes. And I'm
Mm-hmm,
like, here is a very innovative, bright young lady who has
mm-hmm.
been able to do this on her own in at home. Why aren't we pushing more of this? You
Yeah.
know?
Yeah.
So that was just a few cases I wanted to highlight as I had the opportunity.
Mm-hmm,
Um, my observation, once again, is that in the workforces, no matter which workforce it is, in Region 4, you have more men than women.
mm-hmm,
Women are monopolizing. I work, the organization I work with, which is a very labor intensive for the better part of it, but 90% of our workforce are women.
yeah.
They come every day. They work. A lot of them are single parents, but they
Mm-hmm,
come because they have responsibilities that they
mm-hmm,
have to do. Um, and admirable, I will say. I do commend the women of Guyana because they really work hard. Women in Guyana work really hard. And I would like to continue seeing the women in Region 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 1, 2, and 3 continue to grow and blossom and to not only wait for the opportunities, but make the opportunities
Mhm.
for themselves. They have to make them. Don't sit and wait and hope it will come. You have to make them. Um, Again, also though, the environment has to be made and the opportunities have to be made. There are a lot of young entrepreneurs,
Yep.
women, young girls that have businesses, but they don't have, they're competing with billion-dollar companies. That's not fair. The government needs to make the opportunities available for them. They can't be on the same playing fields as everybody else. You have to make. You said you want entrepreneurs. They're there. They want to be entrepreneurs, but you have to make it available. They go to the bank. They're battling with somebody who has to get a loan.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of work that has to be done to help these young people to be able to stand on their own and for their businesses to be successful.
Mhm. Yeah, thank you, Nicola, and you raised a lot of very important points. I'm happy to say, because I was doing some checks, and I was happy to find out that according to a World Bank report, which was done in 2019, 45.9% of Guyanese women now hold positions in senior or middle management in companies
Yes,
in Guyana. And
Yep.
you're absolutely correct. I am so proud of the large number of women at all levels of society that are doing things that are productive. And this is where, one of the things I wanted to say in this program is uh, women have an ability because of our nature to
that's
transcend
right.
a lot of political issues. So all women, regardless of how you vote, we don't care how you vote. That's your private business. But we have a role to play to ensure that we build our families. And that's why they always say that once you promote a woman, once a woman is strong and productive and secure and confident, then she can nurture her family and build in turn strong communities and a strong country. And that's why women are so important. And that's why we deserve that day, International Women's Day. This year's theme is Invest in Women, Accelerate Progress. And I think that's what we're talking about, that every woman, especially if you are a mother or a grandmother, must go the extra mile to encourage our children and our grandchildren to take advantage of education and to get into all those non-traditional roles. And I'm glad that Nicola, you mentioned that, because especially now with the boom in Guyana, and there's so many other opportunities. We don't want you just to be saying that your child must be um,
A
a
lawyer or a doctor.
doctor or a lawyer. Look at all those new fields, engineering. Look at the fields that are available in oil and gas, welding. Look at all the
Logistics,
logistics.
procurement. There's
That's
so
right.
many.
Catering at a high level. There's
Yep.
so many areas. Um, Mandy, you want to comment on that? I think you're on
Comment?
right now. Okay, we can hear you.
Yes. So I think with the non-traditional sectors that we're looking at, what we found in Region 3 is happening is that most of the women now they're trying to access funding through the Small Business Bureau so
Mhm.
that they can actually set up their own small businesses and they could own their shops or their businesses so that what they're saying is that they're asking that when you run your own company, you would have much more timing so that you can able to work with a schedule so that you can have time for your family. Because in the working world, most of us would have to abide by the rules and regulation that governs that company. So you don't want to have your paycheck cut or money deducted from your salary because with the high cost of living in Guyana currently, it's very difficult for a single mother with two children to sustain their livelihoods. So we recently had the teachers that were on strike with the slogan that says 6.5 can work. And Kathy, I'm telling you, as a mother of two, 6.5 definitely cannot work.
Yeah.
So I think that because we're listed, and according to the president of this country, we are one of the fastest growing economies in the world. So I am saying that if we're one of the fastest growing economies in the world, then we should be able to have funding allocated for these projects so
Mm-hmm.
that we can provide for ourselves. And like my good friend Sherrod, who would usually say, the maths in, maths in.
Mm-hmm. Yes. Yeah. No,
So I think that because the long drawn out procedure that they have, that they're creating right now, where they actually, some women have complained to me that they're very Mandy, when they see me on the road, Mandy, we're very frustrated because the amount of paperwork, and then you have to go from one section to the other section to the following section to get these documents, then you have to take them. So the rest of the world is moving in an electronic platform. I don't see why is it we in Guyana, we're still way back in technology and time that we have to move from one paperwork to the other paperwork. Come on, we're talking about bringing international business here. We're
Mm-hmm.
talking about opening our country up so that we can have better partnership with different companies, where we can have these big international companies. But the problem that we're having, and the government seems not to understand, is that the middle point, or the connecting point that brings these people to connect them with the locals, is missing.
Mm-hmm.
So when you look at it, you have the companies that are coming here, but what happens is that the small man at the bottom, or the women who are trying to access the funding, it's very difficult because when you try to get from one point to the other, and the Guyanese system is, unless you know somebody who knows somebody in the system, you're not moving anywhere.
Mm-hmm. Yep. So, Camille, glad to see you're back with us. And also, I can start with you, and then Nicola could jump in. What cost of living has had a huge impact on a woman's ability to pay a rent or pay a mortgage if she has her own home, to put together for the children? We know that inflation, although there's some suggestion that it's not as high as we think it is. But we know from going to the market that we're paying,
Mm-hmm.
in some cases, twice as much for the potato, for
A
pumpkin,
piece of
or
pumpkin.
bora, or whatever it is.
Or
So
shallow.
shallot everything. So how has the cost of limit living negatively impact women? And what are some of the recommendations you ladies have that the government should be looking at to do to make it easier for women? Camille, let's start with you, and then Nicola can jump in.
Kathy, let me give you a simple example. I'm alone.
Mm-hmm.
And the day before yesterday, I had $90,000. Mind you, I'm alone. I have nobody to support. I paid my light bill. I paid my internet cable, bought a bottle of gas, uh, buy a couple tins of milk, a pack of milk, 4 tins of evaporated milk, uh, 2 pack of peas, um, put $4,000 gas in my car, and I can't tell you what the rest went.
Yeah.
I buy rice, flour, sugar, oil. That then count no meat, no nothing.
Yeah.
And that
So
is
for the
throughout the
per
country.
Mm-hmm.
and so for persons that have 3 children, I
Yeah.
often wonder how do they make
Right.
out.
Mm-hmm.
Look, for example, now chicken gone to $400 a pound wholesale,
Mm-hmm.
not retail, wholesale. I bought a pack of chicken for to do a donation, and I paid $3,800. And yesterday, when I went into the supermarket, it's $5,000
Wow.
for the same pack. It gone to $5,000.
Yep.
A local chicken, I saw they had up the price on it in the supermarket at $2,300, and that chicken can't be more than 4 pounds of chicken because I deal with chicken, so you can actually average the size of the chicken, the weight of the chicken.
Mhm.
Now, during the protests, a child came to me and asked, said the mother sent to ask what I'm doing with the chicken head because I rear chickens. So I said, I ain't got no. She asked if I pluck chicken. I said, no, I ain't pluck chicken. If I have any chicken head, I said, no, I ain't got no head. I just show you the head. The child said, I said, what you want with the chicken head? Mommy sent me for it. So I said, to do what? She want to cook curry. Mind you, this parent is working. She's a single parent, but she's working. She's doing security. I said, what happened, mommy? Not working anymore? Mommy stay home from work because we cannot go to school. She stay home 3 days. And when she went back the 4th day, she was fired.
Yeah.
She was fired. So having nothing to feed these children, she tore into chicken head.
Yeah.
It hurt me to the core. To the core. I went into the pen and I plucked the chicken, gave it to the child, gave them a bread, and told the child, let your mother check with me this afternoon.
Mhm.
Kati, I cannot see or understand how women are making the mats in a household.
Yeah.
I sometimes I lie in my bed and I wonder how are women making the mats. That is why yesterday in part of my speech I told the teachers, I said, we women make things happen, and give yourself a tap on the back because
Yes.
the cost of living is so high. It's unbelievable.
Yeah.
It is unbelievable. Imagine a small bottle of oil is $700.
Yeah.
Now,
Camille,
if you,
no, go ahead.
yeah,
Go
go
ahead.
ahead.
No, you go ahead.
Now, if you have 3 children, even let's say 3 is too much, 2 to
Yeah.
send to school, you always have to find something for that lunch kit.
Yeah.
And mind you, if they go to school with any and anything in the lunch kit, they will be mocked.
Mhm.
You have to find something for the lunch kit. You have to find something for yourself, for your lunch kit. You have
They
to
gotta
find
find
If I
something,
transportation for the children to go to school. They gotta find
if
transportation.
I may add,
And
if I may add, please, apart
Mhm.
from the money that you have to find for the groceries, one female would have indicated to me while on the street is that why is it the government of Guyana, at the end of the day, cannot at least look at price fixing for some of the basic food items?
Yeah.
Because
right,
what happens
price
is that
control.
all the shops are selling at whatever price they choose to sell. And
Mhm.
you being the consumer, you have no other choice because you require these items. It's no longer a need, but a want. You have to get what is required so that you can provide for your children. And as women,
Mhm.
we would not want to say to our children, no, you cannot have this, or no, you cannot do this, because as mother, it will hurt you to the core to tell your child when they ask you, oh, mommy, can we go to KFC tonight? No, baby, we cannot go because I don't have money. Or no, baby, we cannot go because we cannot afford it. It's heartbroken when it's like you're having heartbreak upon heartbreak to just look at your child and then you have to say these things. But the reality of it is that this is what we are living in today.
Mhm.
But
Nicola, you
Mandy, you gone far till at KFC. We don't have KFC in Region 6. So for me, basic things like eggs, milk,
yeah,
um, like
gas,
juice and these
flour.
kinds of things for children.
Flour, sugar,
Right,
rice,
the basic
Nice.
things.
vegetables.
The ba- Right. The
I wanna,
basic things for
I
them
want,
to survive on, they can't afford it.
right. I want to bring
Listen,
Nicola in. Nicola,
Camille and Mandy, your stories resonate the same way in
hmm,
Region 4. And I think it is countrywide.
yeah,
And I think it's even worse for the people who live in places like Madia and
yeah,
those way out of town areas that don't
hinterland and
have
hinterland
the
community.
hinterland areas and stuff,
Hmm.
because they also have to pay the added cost of the transportation to get it there
Transportation.
to them. It's ridiculous, and the
Hmm.
government is not doing anything to bring any relief. I mean, you can come up with a plan. It doesn't mean that you have to put
Yeah,
more money into it. They're talking about if we pay more, it's inflation, yada yada yada. Sorry, your
No,
people
bring
are
down the
suffering.
prices.
Your people are suffering. If you feel that, okay, an average family cannot put 2 or 3 square meals on a table a day for their families.
hmm,
It's breakfast and either lunch or dinner. You gotta take a choice. But we can't put 3 square meals on the table. Come up with something to help them. You don't have to put people's pockets. You at the end of the month, families can get vouchers to go and buy the basic items.
yeah,
The basic items that so that this takes the pressure off of the parent. I mean, there must be ways. This is not the first time we've had this, and the price gouging is ridiculous. You hear the
hmm,
Minister of Finance say, "Oh, well, we took off the shipping cost." That stops at the person who's importing. It doesn't
hmm,
trickle down on the prices of the that's imported.
Taking
Just go
off
to the
that
supermarkets
cost
and
is for
see.
their friends and family,
It's for their
not us.
bottom line. It stops there.
yeah,
You don't care about your people. You don't care that you have children who are starving. They cannot have a simple, healthy meal
yeah,
when the day comes. I mean, and this is nationwide. This is not just 1 or 2 regions. This is all over. Everywhere you go. Where I work, I have all single parents. And I
hmm,
ask them on a daily basis, how are you guys able, how I know what I go through. You have to
yeah,
decide this month I'll pay this bill, this bill, this bill to be able to
hmm,
cover what
Mm-hmm.
I have to do. And then next month
Mm-hmm.
it's just a juggle. You're always juggling. You're always pushing and
yep,
pulling and
yep,
trying to fix this and trying to fix
There's a
that.
term we call it.
And
It's paycheck to paycheck. You're literally running
that's
on
not even
fumes.
because if it's a paycheck to paycheck, then I mean I covering all my bills with my paycheck. I ain't covering all my bills with my paycheck, Mandy. I'm
yeah,
deciding which ones I will pay, and then the next month I'll decide which ones I'll pay. You're
yeah,
giving people house lots. They don't have the money to make
yeah,
it to pay for the land, much less try to go to the bank to get a loan. And then if they get a mortgage, they can't afford to pay the mortgage
They can't
payments.
afford to
You
pay it.
drive around and you see there's a lot of land, a lot of house lots with 4 pillars up, and that's it.
yeah,
Build the houses for the people. We're the fastest growing economy in the world.
yep.
Yes, we need infrastructure, but you have to look after your people at the same time.
Well, you remember, Nicola,
And the
Um,
social programs have to grow with the infrastructure.
right?
It's not one or the other.
Mm-hmm.
yeah, but if
So
your people is hungry, what is the point of building a house? Who living in the house? Because they're gonna dead anyway from hunger.
Well,
So what's
that's
the
why.
purpose building the house?
So, well, that's, Nicola made a good point that the infrastructure growth has to go with support
and the social
and
growth
programs. And this,
yes.
yeah, and this is where I remember many, when APNU AFC was in government, this same government today used to say this when they were in opposition, used to say you can't eat
They
roti,
can't
you
live
can't
on. I.
I
Mm-hmm.
thank
it's
you.
But
funny.
Yes.
now the
It's
tables
funny how
it's for the
now the
opposite
tables
side.
are turned. And I want to just tie that across to what I said in the beginning, that we women of Guyana have to be able to stand up as women, regardless of the politics, to ensure we push our agenda. And what is that agenda? That agenda, from all that we're hearing and saying tonight, and we've got three different regions we're talking about, and we know it's happening in all the different regions. We have some basic challenges that all women and all families and Guyana is facing. And what we're saying is that really, the fancy term for it is more gender budgeting. And we need to see that in our budget. Nicola gave a beautiful suggestion, and suggestions are coming out in this program. So if we were to repeat some of them, um, Nicola talked about getting vouchers, that more families, more single parents could get a voucher for a certain amount of money that is used to buy basic food items. Mandy suggested caps on some of the basic food items so that you know that a loaf of bread is at a certain price, that gas is a certain price, that there isn't the price gouging that takes place all the time. So, what we're saying is that we have to, women in Guyana have been speaking up. They have been doing their best. They're the guardians of this society. They're involved in entrepreneurial activities. And this is where, even when it comes to entrepreneurial activities, we've said we got to increase the amount of vouchers, support that are given to women in business. We have to increase, the loans, the possibilities of getting loans without the traditional collateral, because we know historically, going back from when it's a historical fact that the men were able to own more property, more land that is in their
Mm-hmm.
names. And what we
Mm-hmm.
find today is that women don't have those things in their names. And so the banks have to be more friendly when it comes to supporting women. And we know, just look at the great pepper sauce, the great products,
Tomato
yam,
paste,
jelly,
tomato ketchup, all of those
The
everything,
things.
green
everything that women
seasonings.
are doing. And you know what we're
Yes.
proud of?
Even to the chip mango now.
Yes, and you know what I think is so good? We are saluting the women. We salute them tonight because so many of them have improved their packaging. So many of them
Mm-hmm.
are out there pushing their business, whether it's a little tray,
Mm-hmm.
making money for the family,
Oh,
or whether they're able to package it in a nice way. And this is where another recommendation, we're hoping that somebody from the government is listening and we can document some of these suggestions. This is where places like the Guyana Marketing Corporation can be helping to get more export markets. The president is talking about um, Guyana and food security, and we hear about Barbados getting
yes.
land and all these other places getting our land so that they can produce. Well, we also want to make it easier for our Guyanese to get land and to have the government agencies pushing export markets for the women. If, for example, there's a need for sorrel in Guyana or in the region or whatever it is, how is it that our government agencies can help more in those areas? So those are the kinds of things that we need to look at. The cost of living is a major issue. I want to turn a bit to the teachers. Just as we salute the all women and their hard work, the teacher situation is something that really has to be fixed. We cannot have teachers that are earning, in some respects, some of them a very good salary. Everybody, again, every child needs a teacher. Every society needs a teacher. Um, can we comment on some of the challenges the teachers face, just briefly? And what are some of your recommendations you hope will come out of the current meetings? How important is it to you that the teachers be comfortable? And again, we can start with Mandy. Mandy, turn your mic on. We're not hearing you. Try again.
Are you hearing me now?
Yes, perfect.
Mhm.
Go ahead, Mandy.
Okay. So my humble take on this is that if we could go back a couple of years when Mr. Jagdeo was in opposition, he
Mhm.
would have said that he thinks that the teacher should be at least 50% increase on the salary scale. Lo and behold, they're in government and he is trying to force 6.5% on the teachers.
Mhm.
So there was a news reporter from, I think it was Kaichor News, were asking Mr. Jagdeo if he could survive on $80,000 a month.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Mandy, your mic, your mic. We're not hearing Mandy right now, but while she fixes that, she's making a good point because even that video clip of the president banging on the parliament,
Mm-hmm.
on the desk of the
You
Mm-hmm.
guys
parliament
are hearing me
2
now?
years ago. Yes, Mandy.
Yes, so Mr. Jagdeo knew when he was in opposition mode that the teacher should be given 50% increase on the salary.
Mhm.
Now he and his party, they're in government. I would like Mr. Jagdeo to revisit that conversation and stand to his words. Now, if he cannot survive on $80,000 a month, and I don't see the maths is not mathsing, how do we expect our teachers who have to work to look after our children Monday to Friday, if
Yeah.
they have children of their own, they have to find babysitters, they have to find basic food stuff, they have to provide transportation, and these are basic stuff we're talking about. We're not
Mhm.
talking about an extravagant lifestyle where we
Or
have
an
seen,
expensive handbag.
yes, the Louis Vuitton, I think it was.
Yes, exactly. We
Yes,
even get
the
to the
handbag.
listener Louis Vuitton bag that costs 3,000 US. Basic stuff we're talking about. Mandy, the audio is
Line.
gone again. Okay, so come back.
Most of the teachers in our protest line were saying slippers on the ground because they couldn't even afford shoes.
Yeah.
So they had to literally wear slippers on the ground. So when we consider the circumstances that our teachers are going through, for me, 6.5 can't work and the maths would never match. It
Mm-hmm.
ain't matching. So
Mm-hmm.
I think Mr. Jagdeo and his government, they need to revisit this drawing board. And because regardless of a political standpoint, at the end of the day, the whole country would be suffering when these teachers are on strike because our children are losing the time that they were supposed to be in classrooms. So they're having the whole system is backed up right now. And I think the grade six pupils are preparing for grade seven exams.
Right. I think what we're gonna do is we Mandy, we got the point that you were making. Unfortunately, part of your audio went out. Nicola, this whole teachers
Yes.
situation, I know you your teenagers have just finished school, so you know the challenges. Tell us
Um,
your comment.
Kathy, I see it daily. You know, it's strange. People think of school as just learning, but there's a lot more to school. It's a way for children to socialize, to learn how to mix, mingle, have friends. But it's also for at least, what was that, 6 hours of the day, parents know that my child is in a safe environment. I can
Yeah.
go to work,
Mm-hmm.
drop them to school at 8 o'clock, I can pick them up at
Mm-hmm.
4 o'clock. And that's 8 hours, but at least for those hours, they're somewhere. I don't have to find babysitting money. I don't have to find, make sure they're safe, make sure they're doing what they're supposed to do because they're learning. Um, and so when teachers go on strike, and I can speak from my experience with my own workers, it was chaos
Mm-hmm.
because they now had to find, people had to take their annual leave so that they could be home with their children. they had to become inventive, and as usual, women have to come up with the solutions. What am I going to do?
Yes.
I have to work. I'm a
Mhm.
single parent. I can't stay home, but I need to find somewhere for my child to be
Mm-hmm.
safely while I'm away at work.
Mm-hmm.
And you heard the hue and the cry. I had staff come to me in an emergency. Can I please have my leave? I don't have anyone to take my children. One girl, my grandmother can't handle the two children. One is a baby, but the other, I need to go. And
Yeah.
this is the kind of stuff that you heard. Strange thing when children teachers go on strike, children go to school. All of those vendors, women who stand outside
Mhm.
all of those schools on a daily basis,
Mhm.
and that is how they earn their
Mm-hmm.
daily bread, sitting there, not earning their daily bread. So their families are suffering. The drivers of the school buses that take children
Mhm.
to school no longer out of pocket for a month. So it
The whole
has
cycle messed up.
a trickle down effect of a lot of people not being able to earn um, outside of the teachers. Who is the
Yep.
most important in this? I mean, teachers are the educators of our nation. Treat them with the respect that they deserve.
Yep.
You can't
That
want to pay people crumbs and expect them to deliver the best possible education when they can't on a daily basis know how they're making their own lives meet.
yeah. And
And so
I think part of the challenge for the teachers is that they have to go in their pocket quite often, we know.
yes, that's
Yes.
For
what I'm
a
coming
Yes.
to.
child to come
They're
Yes,
into school
required
indeed.
to make all
hungry.
of these. They're
Yeah.
required to make all of these aids for their classroom,
Yeah.
or they're
Yeah.
marked down. And I
Yeah.
mean, when you listen to teachers, they love their children. So they want to ensure that they impart to them the
Hmm.
best possible
The
knowledge.
knowledge. Yeah.
Right. Right.
Mhm.
I mean, treat them. You have other countries that their teachers, and I think it's Finland if I'm not wrong.
Mhm.
Yes, they're required to have a master's. But if you have they were the highest paid public servants in the country.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Teachers,
As they should
because
be.
they understand and value what they produce.
Yeah.
I agree.
Well,
You pay them more and you demand that they have the standards. That's fine. I don't have an issue with that. But you cannot pay them pittance and want to demand from them that they produce the best. That is
yeah.
grossly unfair. And I think that the
Ladies,
minister
lady.
has shown, sorry,
No,
no
go ahead,
respect.
finish off.
She has shown no respect for
Yep.
the teachers that are every day going into those schools being physically and verbally abused by parents.
True.
That's the
And
other thing.
and
They're
children, and
being
by the
and
children.
children.
Yep.
Mhm.
And you have a number of issues that you have to address for these teachers.
Mhm. Well, let me
Kathy.
just say that I want you to hold that thought, Camille, because we're running out of time. And I really want us to look at the domestic violence issue because the reality is that although we celebrate and we're saying that as women we have a lot to celebrate, it is a scourge on our country that almost every week there is a woman that is killed, not by a stranger, that happens sometimes, but by men that are husbands, partners, whatever, involved. And we have to start tackling that. So
Uh,
I
mhm.
really, yes, Camille, go ahead. In the few
Um.
minutes we have left,
First,
I want us to look at that.
first we have to understand that there are different forms of abuse.
Hmm.
You know, people or women feel that being hit is the only form of abuse there is.
Yeah.
But we have psychological abuse, emotional abuse, financial abuse, and the list goes on. And I think as long as we women can understand the different phase of abuse, we will be able to um, identify them and know what to do and when to do it.
Mhm.
know where the red flags are, know how to identify these red flags, and seek help.
Yeah.
Because most of the women, we think, oh, he don't knock me, but he don't give you money either. He's
Yeah.
not coming home either, which is emotional. Or he do come in, and when he do come in, it's just to go and sleep and go out again. That's emotional. Because we are human, we are women, we work all day, whether we work out the home or in the home. We work all day. We need loving too. We need to be cuddled, we need to be pampered, and not getting that is a form of abuse.
Mm-hmm. Let me bring
Not
let me bring
giving.
let me bring Mandy in the few minutes we have left. Mandy, what are some of the recommendations? And then Nicola too. What are the recommendations we can give women? What can they do to kind,
So
you
one
know?
of my recommendations would be, we as women, we have a responsibility so that we can speak to each other.
Mhm.
When
Mm-hmm.
you might
Put
pass a
each
woman on
other's
the road,
problem.
you see her crying, and you might look at her, but sometimes all you need is somebody to ask you, how are you doing, my sister?
Mhm.
Fix
What's
each
the
other's problem.
situation?
Mm-hmm.
Fix the crown, help a
Mm-hmm.
sister up, hold her
Mm-hmm.
hands. It doesn't
Mm-hmm.
take anything out of us to be human, to be kind to somebody. And I think it was Mahatma Gandhi that says, if you want to see change, you ought to be the change you want to see. So
Yeah.
as we're celebrating International Women's Day, the whole issue about domestic violence to me is that there are a lot of underlying conditions that we have not looked at in
Mhm.
whereas in some of the areas, especially from region 3, there are certain isolated areas that you can, for instance, go hands on and you will know that this area is prone to domestic violence. But there are many different sides to domestic violence. It's not just
Yes.
that a man might be hitting on a woman, but also we
Yeah.
need to understand what is happening, what is causing this problem, and
Mhm.
we
Yeah.
need to look at the root cause of the problem so that we can have an actual solution to it. So we living in a neighborhood and you see your neighbor beating on his wife, or he's abusing her emotionally, physically, verbally. You know what? Oh, I minding me own business. Me in calling the police, because when I call the police gonna ask question. No, that is not right.
Yeah.
All it takes for us, you don't have to physically go and intervene, but there are systems and things that we can put. And I do hope that, I think it's the minister Vindi Prasad, her
Yeah.
ministry is
Mm-hmm.
responsible for this. I do hope that somebody from her side is listening, and they could probably improve on the counseling services that they have, because right now it's not working. The probation offices, when you go there, it's a long line and people are very frustrated. The
Mhm.
court
Yes.
system, where
Yes.
they have the females are taking the male before the court for what we know as child support.
Nicola,
Few
unfortunately, Mandy's
changes.
audio is gone. So, Nicola, you want to just comment on that
Yes.
recommendation
For
solution
the
for
couple of
women?
minutes, Mandy hit a couple of the nails that I
Yeah.
wanted to talk about. However, it is true. It's a very wide topic, and a lot
Mhm.
of things. For me, I would like to see a lot more shelters being built. The
Yeah.
government has money. You
Yep.
build protected areas for these women and children to go. Protected
Mhm.
areas. Encourage more social workers at the University of Guyana. Incentivize that. Incentivize people being therapy counselors. Um, because when you hear the stories, there is a constant. Where will I go? I don't have anywhere to go. So
Yeah.
I might as well just stay here because I don't
Who
have
gonna
any
take
means of
care of the two
taking
and
care
mind
of
the
my children,
children?
of
Mm-hmm.
myself, my children. So,
Mm-hmm.
you need to sit down. And I think, as Kathy rightly said, women in politics, there are commonalities that we can all sit. It doesn't matter which side of the divide we come on. We all would have known someone that would
Mhm.
have been abused or suffered abuse ourselves in some
Yeah.
form or another. And
Yes.
sit and
Mm-hmm.
have the conversation to look after the women. And there's some men who are abused too. So if they want to come, no problem. I don't have, but
Yeah.
people who are abused, because the cycle just keeps going on and on and on. And when
Mhm.
children are subject to the abuse, that's what they go thinking, that that's what I need to be, that this is how you show me love. And the cycle goes on. We need to, we're a relatively small country,
Yeah.
society. The numbers are staggering for such a small country.
Yeah.
But we need to sit down and have the conversations from all devices, all the women's groups, come up with solutions. It's
Mhm.
not a one cap fit all, but I'm sure we can find some common ones.
Yep.
But again, let us build more shelters. Let us build, make sure that these children with the shelters, they have schools so that the children, they're not exposed to have to go out and the pay.
Let's
It's a
yeah.
lot thing. It's a lot.
Let's yeah, and this is where too we can and we're offering recommendations. This is where too we can ensure that we continue to train the police officers, that we have
Right.
more female officers, that at
Um,
more stations there are good
I
places
think one
where.
thing I wanted to say though, in
Mhm.
my reading, I noticed that the Ministry of Human Services, they put out that the 914 number, the hotline 914, is being used. At least people are using it. So I wanted to say this here. Anybody who knows anybody or any, please use the hotline 914. It is working, it is up, and they have people there who can help you. So
Right. And then that's a good point, Nicola. We are all willing and ready to work with the Ministry of Human Services, just to make
services.
social services, just to make sure that we can protect our women and offer the best. We spoke about the court system. One of the things too that we can do is implement the technology in other countries. Men,
Yeah.
when you have a protective order against somebody and they mustn't come to you to be too close, they have to
Close.
wear a bracelet on their ankle so that there's an
Exactly.
alarm that you know that he's close by or whatever. Those are the things that we women got to stand together and advocate. um,
Yes.
we
Yes.
literally have 3 minutes left, and as we part, I want each of you to just in 30 seconds offer words of encouragement to all the women that are listening tonight that are not 100%, but we want them to keep moving forward. We want them to keep fighting for their families in a better Guyana. Your words, starting with Mandy.
Okay, so ladies, my words to you is that every day you wake up, it's a blessing. And just look at it. Today is another day. I get to be better than the day that I had yesterday. So we get to improve and we get to build on what we would have already created. And we, as mothers, grandmothers, daughters, and sisters, we have a responsibility to look out for each other. And we also have a responsibility to teach the young ones the right things and how to conduct themselves in society.
Nice. And Camille, your words, final words of encouragement.
My encouragement to us women will be as you get up in the morning, as Mandy said, but just look yourself in the mirror and say to yourself, I am superwoman.
Beautiful.
And as you go out there on the road, let's just fix each other's crumb. Thank
Excellent.
you.
Nicola, your words.
I would like to say to all the beautiful women in Guyana, we're here. Hold your head up high. What you believe you can do, you can achieve. And so,
Hmm.
no mountain is too high to climb. You have to believe that you can do it. Believe in yourself, and know that no matter our race, our beliefs, we're a multiracial country, multi-religious country, and we are a country of beautiful people. And I'd like all the Guyanese women to feel proud of who they are, no matter your circumstance, feel proud, be blessed, and just believe that you can do whatever it is that you want to do in this life.
Excellent,
Super
lady.
women.
Excellent. And you know, there's a staggering figure that, in fact, from our oil industry, we are now earning 7.7.5 million US dollars every day from
Every
oil.
day.
Seven
Mm-hmm.
and a half million US dollars every day from oil. And so, in closing, we want to appeal to the government to focus more on women. We want more training courses. We want more counseling facilities, all the different things we've talked about. We want an increase in the public public assistance. We wanted
Assistance.
we wanted more monies for the persons with disabilities, more for the indigenous communities and the hinterland communities. And guess what?
Mm-hmm.
We are blessed that we, for the first time in our history, we have those resources that we can help. For the women dealing with the terrible situation of domestic violence, remember there are good organizations like Help and Shelter, and of course the Ministry of Social Services is doing a lot in that area. So, ladies, um, blessings to all of you. Continue to shine. And to my presenters this evening, it was wonderful to spend tonight with you. And thank you for all your words of wisdom and encouragement. Have a
Thank
good
you,
Fix those
Kathy.
prongs. Fix those
Thank you for
prongs.
having
Like,
us.
Fix
Kathy,
those
if I
prongs.
may, can I just
Please
say
go
one
ahead.
thing that
Please
I
go
saw
ahead.
yesterday? She believed she could, so she did. I'd like every Guyanese woman to believe those words. She believed she could, so she did. Listen, they're
Excellent.
very powerful words.
Excellent.
Yes.
Thank you, ladies. Look after your families,
Thank
and
you.
we're here to help. Thank you.
You
Yes.
too.
Good
Take
night.
care.
Good
Good
Bye
night.
night,
bye.
Bye.
good
Good
night,
night.
Bye.
everybody.